Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. I can explain everything that happened in there. Don't call the police. I can explain everything that happened in there. I can explain. Oh my gosh. And we got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
I'm a knife salesman.
And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
You're the only one that came out alive from that, and you expect me to believe that? Yes.
Yes. Guys, today we're reviewing The Last Stop in Yuma County. This movie was directed by a Sir Francis. I'm gonna butcher this last name. Gajupi. I don't know what is it. Gallu
Gajupi.
That's just a very funny Italian name. Gajupi or Gayupi. Hey, it's a Gayupi. Okay. Stars Jim Cummings, Faison Love. Faison Love, that's a name. Jocelyn Donahue and a few others. But
You know what's funny is I kind of got a Coen Brothers vibe, and it was really funny seeing the Coen Brothers character from the gas station Ty.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gene Jones, who plays Robert. He's the guy whose life was spared by Anton Chigurh with the coin toss. Dude.
His wife
No Country for Old Men.
his wife in the bar, I think she was another character in the Coen Brothers movies, right?
I think she's also in Zodiac. I was trying to remember. She's in Shutter Island. That's what it is. That's what I was remembering her from.
Oh, the drink, the glass. That's
Yeah,
right.
and she's the one that is writes down Run. She's in Inside Llewyn Davis as well.
There you go. I knew there was a Coen Brothers movie she was in. She's like, look, where's it?
Oh, also stars Nicholas Logan, Richard Brake, Barbara Crampton, Michael Abbott Jr. Faison Love, I just remembered. He's from Elf. He's the
mall.
Yes. Yeah, I know that's where you would recognize.
There's that look when he comes in, they're breaking everything. Oh, that's such a great look.
He had a similar look when he found the diner dead. There's no singing at the North Pole.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
We elves do it all the time. We've got and I mentioned it stars Jim Cummings, right? Did I mention that?
You did.
He's the knife salesman. It's great. Never bring a knife to a gunfight, right? And it's just kind of funny.
And then that creepy dude, he's in Barbarian.
Bo. He's great. Or the Richard Brake who plays him. Yeah,
he plays a great creepy dude.
He's a very scary good looking guy. And dude, he dials it up. I can't remember what he yells at her. He's just like, oh, bitch. I can't remember what he does, but he just like explodes with one line. He's like talking. And
that reminded me of A History of Violence with that one guy. Shut up. I love it.
Guys, let's talk about this movie. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Jordan texted me that he had it, and I watched it that night. That's just how this works. I'm like, dude, Jim Cummings. It stars Jim Cummings.
I think it came out, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it just dropped streaming last week.
Last week, yeah.
Last week sometime. But anyway, when I found out it was streaming, I was like, let's watch it. Because I was gonna try to see if I could find it playing at my theater, but I've already seen it. And I'd watch it again and again. This movie's great.
I don't think it went to theaters because I checked. Like he said, he's like, it's out now on Letterboxd. And so I checked the theaters and couldn't find anything. And I was like, what was he talking about? And then I'm like, maybe it's in select theaters in like Vegas or something. I mean, where's he from? California? Because sometimes, indie movies like only show in certain theaters.
Yeah.
I think he went straight to, is it called VOD? I don't know, digital.
Video on demand.
Yeah. So, but I'm so glad I double checked iTunes and then I bought it.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's called iTunes anymore. I think it's just called Apple, whatever.
So yeah, finding out it was available, I was like, watch it, because I only get excited about like collaborations and I kind of follow people's work. So like Jim Cummings, who we've reviewed on the podcast extensively, Wolf of Snow Hollow, Thunder Road. Have we done beta test, or did you do beta test?
I did like a short little episode with my wife, but I'd be happy to dive deep in with you guys sometimes.
Thunder Road yet? Did we do Thunder Road?
Oh, we did Thunder Road.
Yeah, we did Thunder Road.
One.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, we did Thunder. But I was actually thinking of the what was that one short film he directed that you recommended, Jordan? That was no world was that. Jim Cummings directed a short film about Late to Brunch, and it's just like the weirdest person who's just keeps showing videos of his sister.
No,
but it's just like, why is your sister sending you videos of her? It's the weirdest thing. The
I
weirdest
I
thing.
didn't watch it
Watch
before I
it.
sent it. If I had watched it, I wouldn't have sent it to you because I just like, oh, something new with Jim Cummings. I got excited about it, and then I watched it. I'm like, oh crap, don't watch it, don't watch it. I didn't know you were gonna actually watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch anything Jim Cummings does.
I
I think he's a
it was
very
just
good at
his
nailing. I don't know. He does a really good job at being like a very vulnerable character, but like very real. I don't know. Like
yeah.
especially with outbursts, we've all compared him to Cameron. It's literally Cameron as an actor. Hey man, I really appreciated you bringing me that meal, but you right now. That just bipolar swing. It's so great. Yeah,
I
let's
think
get into it. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Cameron, start us off.
Yeah, watching it for the pod was my first time, and kind of similar to what Jordan mentioned, it did kind of have a slight Coen Brothers feel. And I was impressed at how
that's
gripping
all
the
you're gonna say. I'm waiting to hear you mention a movie you mention every single episode. It didn't make you think of Inglorious.
no.
Are you serious? The bar scene? How did it not make you think of that?
It does feel like Tarantino. Anything with many, many guns pointed at each
And then the
other,
scene where everybody shoots each other in like 2 seconds. It's like the
I
fastest
did have
movie
to
that.
rewind because I was like, "Who just died?" Because I couldn't
Yeah,
tell if the waitress got shot. I was like, "Did she get shot?" And I was like, "Oh my
dude.
gosh!"
Yeah.
But yeah, I I would not compare it to Inglourious. But I mean, that scene,
How? That scene is literally the same. They're like building up to the tension, and then finally there's a shootout that lasts 2 seconds long.
I guess. But I was
Yeah,
I
it's
was
so funny because you compare literally, I'm talking every single episode you mention
do
Inglorious
not
at least once. You
I'm not
say,
every
this
episode.
reminds me of my favorite movie.
It's not my favorite movie.
Well, one
Um,
of.
It's just one
um
of those things, Cameron. He's
anyways,
putting words in your mouth. Don't listen to him.
yeah.
It's
No,
bad.
it's just
Any,
funny. Every movie you mention it, and then the one movie I feel like is most like it, you don't mention it. So it just cracks me up. Like,
but I was impressed with this and how it kind of grips you from the beginning. I was very surprised that like the shootout happened with 30 minutes to go. I was like, wait, what? Where are we going from
Yeah,
here?
where does it go
Um,
from here?
but I thought it was kind of a fun spin on like essentially posing the question like if you had the opportunity with no one to
No
um
consequences.
yeah, well, so I see. I am maybe I'm a sociopath, but there was a bunch of things that I would have done way different. Well, the fact that the cop saw you and saw your face, automatically you don't take the money anymore. The fact that there's someone that could place you at the scene and your body's not there, don't take the money. If that cop never showed up and everyone who ever saw you at the gas station died, that's when you can start to consider it. But it's like the fact that there's a police officer
That
who
is
saw
so
your
funny.
face and spoke to you, like I'm like, bro, you're just asking for it. Because all it takes, I mean, luckily that kid is the most like he's like for every Sherlock Holmes, there's a him. Because
Hey,
dude
he
is the
was
worst.
fine. I
How do
mean,
you how do you know that there was another car here? The gasoline trail right below you. He's like, oh yeah. I was like, bro, this is
not the
crazy.
most observant. Yeah, not the
Yeah,
most observant.
but
Little
but yeah,
Ponto
and I can kind of get into that and maybe not even my nitpicks.
or
My nitpicks
Poncho. I
were
was thinking of Don Quixote. Sorry, huh?
the
Sancho or
character
Poncho.
choices, but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Jordan, how about you? Watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the pod?
yeah, so I think this is all our first time watching it, and I love Jim Cummings so much. I know we've mentioned it many times, but it was really funny. One of you two texted it that and hey, Jim Cummings' new movie. And then I double checked and I'm like, I don't think he's directing this one. He didn't.
It was me.
Mm-mm.
But this is the first director that I'm actually happy to say knew how to use Jim Cummings correctly because I've seen him in a lot of other things and I feel like he never gets to really flex his acting skills. So I just like I'm really happy about that. I guess I'm already getting into my favorite
Have you
thing, but
guys looked at Francis Gillespie? He looks like Jim Cummings, dude, with a little mustache.
does he really?
Really?
Yes. They're two peas in a pod. But yeah, I just am so happy that he got to actually play like a really fun, interesting character. And not to say he hasn't in the other movies that I've seen him in. Well, when I watched the first trailer for this, I didn't finish it because I don't like to spoil, but I noticed he wasn't the cop, and I don't want him to get necessarily typecast, but he plays such a good cop in, the other movies he's been in, like Wolf of Snow Hollow and Thunder
That's
Road.
that's
But
hilarious.
actually, I really enjoyed him as a knife salesman. I thought that was really great.
Oh
And
yeah,
this is Francis's directing debut, at least for feature
full
film.
length. Yeah, full length.
And do you know
Dude,
he's gonna make the next Evil Dead, Ty?
Yeah, I saw that. I was looking
Yeah.
at his IMDb, which makes me excited, dude. Well, I'm trying to get excited about that as well as Robert Eggers is directing the next Nosferatu movie starring Bill
Ru-
Skarsgård. Did we talk about that?
yes. No, I don't think so. And do
Yeah,
you
but I'm
know
excited about that as well.
Edgar Wright is doing the next Running Man?
Ant-Man. Oh,
No,
I
he's
thought you
doing
said
Running Man.
Running Man.
He's gonna
Interesting.
remake it. Yeah. And Cameron, guess who the actor is? It's from that movie you like that's really terrible, but it's got that girl that you think is so hot. What's
Rachel
the
McAdams,
Anyone but
Margot
you?
Robbie.
Yeah, anyone but you, that guy, the muscly dude from Maverick, he's gonna be the Arnold
Oh wait, Glenn
Schwarzenegger character.
Powell. Glenn
Yeah,
Powell. Okay, sick. I love Glenn Powell.
yeah. He's
The
definitely got the
muscly
body for
guy.
it. Not quite as
So not Miles Teller, but the bully
no,
guy who
the
plays
bully.
Bagman.
Yeah,
Okay, plays Bagman.
yeah. He's gonna be
Yeah, he
cool.
needs a little bit more charisma. I feel like does he have the chops? He's got the look,
You got
pretty
to see him
boy,
in
but
Anyone But You.
He
is he
he
good in there?
Anyone But You.
Yeah, I haven't
he's
seen him let
pretty
loose.
funny.
He's
He was
just kind
doing
of
everything
been
in
more
his power to
muted.
he was trying to counteract every bad acting scene from Sydney Sweeney. He was trying to save every scene.
He might actually have the right kind of camp to him to be
Yeah.
able to and with Edgar Wright's combination, I think they're gonna make a great dynamic.
He just reminds me of like Draco Malfoy actor, where it's just like you kind of play the blonde douche. That's just typecast. But I think he played like a war hero in another film I didn't see, but it literally came out after Top Gun. He was in another plane movie, and I was like, okay, he's just gonna get
Oh
typecasted as
yeah.
the
Not
plane.
was it
I didn't see
Midway?
something like yeah. I
Or,
think that might be the
No,
maybe
title.
yeah,
I
I'm
Midway.
can't
pretty sure
remember.
he helped direct or produce it.
Or the
Okay.
fly, the airplane one.
The
I
Fly. Yeah,
Fly Boys, yeah, yeah. The Fly Boys.
the fly one.
With James Franco, dude, that movie was a movie, dude. That
Yeah.
is hilarious. That movie, I wonder if that holds up. I remember watching it being like, wow, what a harrowing movie. Somebody fell out of a plane. Uh, James
what about
Franco is a
Ty? What about
pilot.
you?
Dude, watching this movie is great. It's funny that Jordan mentioned Inglorious. I was thinking of like True Romance, more of True Romance, because you have the young
Oh,
couple that's like on the run, or not necessarily on the run, but they're like looking for trouble. You see her feet, so I was like, "There's Tarantino's foot fetish," and you've got like all the hallmarks of. So,
See,
anyway, friends,
if anything, it reminded me more of a Guy Ritchie, where it's just like
yeah, Guy
many people
Ritchie's apt
intertwined at
to.
the same scene that it's like,
hmm.
oh, I know that they're the criminal. I want the money. And I'm just like, and that's
Well,
why. Like, does everyone have a gun?
does everyone have a
And
gun? I like that. Yeah, I like
well,
in this small town, everyone's got a gun,
well,
and
we've mentioned it already, but the Coen brothers literally
Coen
basically
Brothers too.
every one of their movies is about a deal gone wrong at some point in their
Hmm.
movies. So
I liked how it didn't feel like it dragged on, but I liked how it seemed very like matter of factly like the gas station um is out of gas, so everyone has to be stuck there because you
yeah,
can't leave. The next gas station is too far. So it forces people to be in this situation with each other, which I liked because you already have the two bank robbers, and then you have this other young plucky couple that wants to come in and take the money. They know that someone in there has been the robbers. They don't know who it is at first. I just like the dynamic with all the different characters, and you have this
yeah.
old couple that's kind of oblivious, but they are packing heat too, which is made it clear with the camera shot. Like she's like knitting, and there's just like a gun right there in full
Yeah.
view of the purse. I just thought that was really funny. Like you're like, oh gosh, this is gonna end in bloodshed. And then yeah, you have Jim Cummings who's like this down on his luck knife salesman, which is great. And
Most definitely divorced, nice salesman, bro. Homie knows how to play a divorced character, most likely struggling with addiction.
love it. And then
I
yeah,
love
and
I
then
love seeing like the subtleties of like him putting the ashtray on the different thing, and then like the moment all the chaos happens, he like he grabs a cigarette to smoke to think it through. He's like, I'm like, I love how that's your first action. It's not call 911. It's like, all right, let me smoke a
yeah,
cig.
he just needs to
Calm
think.
down.
Yeah, he needs to think. Yeah, he needs to calm down. And then he's
Well,
thinking, right? He's hatching up a plan.
there was a great moment too when he like went to go call the phone, and then that dollar bill, like people have
Yeah.
on their wall for the first dollar that started their company,
Yeah,
or that they earned from their company. I just
that's
love that he
good.
looked at it, and you just know you're like, oh yes, he's gonna go for the money.
The money. It's good. It's good. So, yeah, watching it made me think of a lot of different things, but it still had its own fresh take on it. I like what you mentioned, Cameron, because as soon as they played that song and they stood up with the gun to the waitress's head, I was like, oh man, like where do you do another start? And that's what makes the third act so fun because it takes several different twists and turns, and excellent callbacks and stuff like that, which I really like. So, which is funny. So we're gonna get into spoilers to anyone that's listening, but let's get into two of our favorite things, and then we can talk just a little bit about the story. So, Cameron, why don't you start us off? Two of your favorite things from this movie.
I think my first favorite thing is just I love like the interactions and kind of like the subtlety of like because in the movie, especially with like dramatic irony, a lot of times we're just like, oh, it's so obvious that like these people are bad, and it's like so obvious your wife called you, no one answered. But it is one of those things where it's like on any regular day, if like your wife doesn't answer at work, you're not thinking she's maybe getting held up by some bank robbers. Like you're probably
Right.
just like,
And if it's important,
oh,
she'll call back, obviously,
exactly.
but then you're not thinking
And
she's
then
a hostage.
the thing is too that the fact that like your deputy went and saw her and like she was
Yeah.
fine.
Observed
You're like,
nothing. Right. Yeah.
oh, okay. And then him giving the excuse of like, oh, she was busy and there's people to hold up at the gas station. You're like, oh,
Dude, he's
okay.
gonna load up the coffee with tons of sugar. It's so great, dude.
I was
He
I
Yeah.
was thinking
gonna,
that like the cop was gonna see the note, or the other guy was gonna see the note that she wrote on the lid, but she ended
yeah,
up
and
Uh-huh.
then he
tossing.
would act too obvious, and then it was. I thought that too. That
Yeah.
which is okay. So yeah, keep going, Cameron, with your two favorite.
Yeah, and then my second favorite thing is I just love movies like this kind of are like they're almost like telltale fashion where there's like a bunch of different scenarios and it's what's the next decision. And I think movies like this are enjoyable, especially to watch in a group, because then you can like ask people afterwards, or like people will be like, oh, don't do that, because I think that's honestly why horror movies are such a big group watch, is because they literally play out as like decision based game. So to where it's
Mm,
like you can argue like when they make a decision, you're like, no, don't go that way. Don't get out. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
And that's the same with this. There's like a lot of scenes where you're like, no, oh my gosh, you're making it too obvious. And that was what I was worried about, her pouring the sugar into that one again, because she just told him he doesn't like sugar. And
right.
then
And
she
he
would have
heard it,
poured it
and she
in. He would
couldn't
have
get
been
away
like,
with it. You know.
yeah. And so it was little things like that I thought were
Yeah.
fun and kind of added to the suspense, because then it's like you're invested because you're kind of giving your opinion. And the one big thing that I'll say, like for me, that I would have changed if I was Jim Cummings, bro, the moment well, first off, like just coming out of like hiding and being like, "Hey," I'm like, okay, you're already messed up. I'm like, unless you're trying to give up the money, what are you doing? You come out of hiding to tell them to
I know.
forget
I
you
was like,
exist.
wait till they leave.
I was like, what are you
Well, they
doing?
weren't gonna leave. They were gonna wait there. She's like, call the police or
Oh,
whatever. And he's like, no, 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 I can explain. That's when he came out because he goes, if you call the police here, I don't have time to. So I guess
Yeah,
he thought he could reason his way out of it. It was nuts.
I don't know.
It's
I
one of
mean,
those
like,
things where I was literally like, oh, like you're just like, yeah, I can explain everything in there. You're like, it's
I know.
over, dude. He's like,
I know.
who are you? You stay right where
Everyone's
you
dead
are. Yeah,
except
yeah.
you.
Except you.
well, see, that's so what I would have done. In that situation, what you do is you go back and you hide in the back. Um, either you either have to stab yourself with a knife, or you have to just like cower and act like a total coward and be like, is everything like, is everyone like, is anyone alive? And then okay, and then later on when he finds out his gas tank is leaking, bro, the strat is you hop in the trunk and you close yourself in, because and then you what's it called, if the cops ever find you and then like you hear the cop car pull up, you start banging on the trunk and then be like, yo, this dude just
I
abducted
love
my
this
car.
idea where 10 years from now, Cameron gets found in the trunk of a car and he's just dead and like died of exposure, like, or not exposure, but like, you died of hunger and thirst. And you're
Heat
like, he
exhaustion. Yeah.
tried to claw his way out of the trunk. It's like he must have trapped himself in there and then he's
That
trapped
or
in
they
there.
take him to a junkyard and then it just gets crushed.
Yeah. See,
He's still
so that's
inside.
see. Well, that's why.
Cameron, I
That's why
love your idea. I get what you're
no. See,
saying,
like
but
you put a little string to it, and then you hold, or like you just hold on to it to where it's not completely closed. But then the moment you hear somebody, then you like pull it closed.
and then the person that's there is not the cops, but it's someone else
Yeah.
is like, hey, you
See,
trapped
but
in
if
the
you're banging
trunk.
on the trunk, they're gonna open it up.
I love it. Cameron relying on the kindness of strangers, dude. And it turns out they're freaking
No,
Bonnie and
see,
Clyde
no,
driving
see,
through to or
no.
whoever
But
the
what
other
you
couple
do,
were.
what you do is you like. Okay, I also thought of that when they pulled up to the gas station. It reminded me of I Saw the Devil. I'm like, of the serial killer hopping in a car with serial killers. I'm like robbers going into what's it called? That's being robbed by bank robbers. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. It's like, hey, these guys stole, and we're just as crazy as they are. We deserve that money. It's great.
You know what it also reminds me of is it called No Exit? Is that the movie you recommended to us a
Oh
while
yeah,
back?
yeah. It is kind of like that as well.
Because they were trapped in the cabin with like a bunch of crazies.
Yeah.
Or even I would even argue just one additional thing, like Reservoir Dogs remind me like the first where you never see the bank heist. They talk about it, and it's kind of a clever device where
Oh yeah.
this big bag of money, you hear about the bank heist on the radio at the beginning,
Hmm.
so it kind of sets up this world, but
And
you never see the bank heist or anything like that. So
and I'm assuming everybody else picked up on this, but I didn't pick it up on it until I read Ty's review. But
Jordan,
I didn't put two and two together about that.
Jordan thinks I blew his mind because he's like, dude, how did you catch such crazy plot twist? I mean, it's not a plot twist, it
But the
was a
gas,
callback.
the thing they were waiting for, I didn't realize that was the car that was tipped over at the end.
The gas
That
tanker
that
at
was the
the
gas
end
tank.
is why they were all waiting at the
Jordan's
gas
like,
station. He's
it's
like, the gas tanker.
crazy how there's another gas tank that's blowing up.
Well, no, I just
The,
thought I thought it was somebody that I thought the bank robbers had driven by and killed the guy.
killed this guy. And so I joked with Jordan, I'm like, yeah, they're fleeing the crime scene and they saw an oncoming semi transporting gas and thought we need to shoot that guy in the
And
head.
headshotted
No,
him.
but see, yeah, so they're all waiting for the gas truck, which never is coming because it crashed up the road.
Hmm.
So anyway, but that's what sets it up so neatly at the very end, where he sees the gas truck, he's trying to devise a plan, and then the most insane. I want to count it like as far as memorable movie explosions. Like I would
Yes.
count it top 10, maybe 15. I have to like right now. I can think of Oppenheimer, and then I think of like this movie. I'm trying to think of other movie explosions, like I don't know, something starring Michael Bay,
Dark
right?
Knight.
Like you just think about explosions and you're like,
Transformers.
but like this one had it. It was just like very impactful. You had the cop, yelling
He
at
loved me, gosh dang.
"You loved me," like very very emotional, but also like frantic. And Jim Cummings just like sprinting away as fast as he can, getting shot at the last minute, falling over, and the bomb go or not the bomb. It was like a bomb. The the explosion of the truck behind him. It was just so
So
bombastic,
good. Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's just awesome. So I really appreciated that, and the explosion felt so big. I don't know, like even
Oh
though
yeah.
um
It's
I'm sure.
radical.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like on an indie budget, and yeah, it was really, really fun storytelling and fun to offer a new, fresh take on the hostage movie situation, which I think some stories do well. I think they did a good job at exploring all the different ways in which you would try to communicate, and then one bad decision leading to another, which is really fun. Like, careful what you not wish for, but like, if you were put in that situation, don't fail to do the right thing immediately. Because if you think 1 minute you're like, I can get away with this scot free, it's too good to be true. And you end up making the most horrific decisions of your life, which is unfortunate.
And I got this idea, and I don't mean to pivot, but if this director is
Yeah,
making the next Evil Dead, does that mean Jim Cummings is going to be the next Ash? Oh my gosh.
that's
Can
funny.
you
Yeah.
imagine? Oh my gosh. He
Uh,
has the same jaw. Are you kidding me? Just
that's
that very
funny. I could
defined.
see him, yeah, or just even, yeah, being in the movie, if it's an
I'm
element,
hoping at
yeah,
least he'll get a
Ash, yeah.
cameo. I was
Oh.
joking about that, but I mean, that would be amazing and a dream come
Well, I
true.
wonder, I'm assuming this new one has no ties to the Rise of the Evil Dead or
I
Evil
don't
Dead
know.
Rise. Or
Sam Raimi said in some interviews that just basically
this is
he's
the
just
universe
yeah,
and
his
anyone else can
universe
kind
is
of take,
and
yeah.
that's what apparently, and I know I keep changing subjects here and I apologize,
Oh,
but
I don't care.
um Ridley Scott also said that that's basically what he's doing. He's producing and having basically everybody in his same vein is just making alien movies off of
Alien
his
movies off
universe.
of, yeah. And if
Yeah.
it's an interesting story that uses that device, Alien or, yeah,
But
or the Evil
I'm
Dead.
just excited. I got excited after watching this and hearing about that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's cool to see young talent do like a fresh take on movies like this. So yeah, I would say my favorite thing was definitely the three acts. Like obviously there were many close calls, right? The sugar that they were getting away, the guy carefully watching her, at the diner. The
When he finally
mention
remembered the word from his crossword puzzle, like the
loot.
loot.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was Jim Cummings' review of the movie. He just said loot. Dot
Yeah.
dot dot. And then 5 stars.
Yeah.
Dude, it is loot, dude. Take the money and run. What do you do when you take the money and run or whatever? Loot.
Yeah.
I liked
And he felt the need to
the
write
close
it.
call where Jim Cummings is not, shaking his head to the other bandit as he's outside because he's gonna come in. He sees the cop. His first thought is like, I gotta come in guns blazing. And so I thought at that moment, I'm like, dude, it's a, and then like last minute he backs out, bumps into him, spills the coffee, and you're like, oh, and then the scene keeps going on. He's like, oh man, and he's like goes back inside, he's got to clean off. I'm like, just like the tension, it's just a rubber band that's ready to snap, and you're like, it was so close to snapping there. And I liked how they still drew it out naturally. It just felt like, yeah, like they just ran and spilled coffee and he doesn't know who this guy
And
is.
shout out to the wife, dude. The coffee idea was really genius to put a ton of sugar and then on the lid. That way he'd be like, "Oh, what the heck?"
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what?
why would
And
you?
then open it up to see.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty genius.
Yeah, I love
And I
that
was like, that
detail.
for a second, I was like, "Is she gonna try to spell help or something like with the sugar or like the cream?" I was like, "This is gonna be so cheesy." And then I was like,
Just
"Oh,
like
God bless."
sp- inside, they make tea leaves. It's just you just open it up.
Yeah,
It says SOS or help.
it's like, make sure to carry that one really careful.
Oh no, yeah, Cameron, he's not the Riddler. He didn't write a question mark in the coffee.
It reminded me of in Across the Spider-Verse when Miles shows up to his dad's birthday with both cakes and says, "I'm so not proud of you."
I'm so not proud of you. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. But I'd say my second favorite thing, yeah, is the, as I mentioned, the tension that keeps building. But I like the twists and turns of two moments in particular. It's just that moment of when he goes outside, he has like, yeah, he's smoking. He goes back inside, he's ready to call, and then yeah, you mentioned the dollar bill. I think that's good. I saw the dollar bill, but I didn't think of it how it's like, okay, obviously he's thinking about the money. It's front foremost of his mind, and you already know he's a struggling salesman. Like business isn't good. He's like cowering under the table for the first two acts of the movie, and I love that Jim Cummings gets to shine in the third act of it, which is why I love the third act. I think the whole moment where he's the only one acting, and it's just so cool how he's able to like keep the story going, and just does such a good job at keeping the story going in the third act when all of his other counterparts and people he's acting across are dead. So he's literally like in this crime
Also,
scene, new couple shows up.
I'm
Oh, it's
sorry, that
heart-wrenching.
couple is so dumb, bro. If you know you have a child, why are you just guessing like we can't morally take this money? It's like take the money. He leaves. When the cops come, you say he offered us $20,000. Here's the $20,000.
No,
It's
no,
not like
Cameron,
they're
you say he threatened us with our lives. You don't give up the money, Cameron. Gee, see, I'm even smarter than you.
gonna.
I'm keeping more money than you are, Cameron. Come on.
Dude,
Ty's 2 steps ahead of you, Karen.
no, dude. That's a
No,
if
I hear what
I
you're saying.
anything I've
Oh,
learned
I
from
know. Yeah.
movies, bro. It's anytime there's money, it's always gonna. I'm like literally, unless every single person involved was murdered, like
I
you're
like that this couple didn't perceive Jim Cummings as a threat, though.
yeah.
Like somehow they kind of knew it's like he's bad, but they're like they didn't feel threatened by him. In fact, it's great.
Well,
Again, so let's
I
get
also thought
into
he was dumb that
oh,
he's like, oh, I'm the one
bro.
who robbed the bank and I killed everyone in there. I'm like, why are we
And
confessing
then
to
and then
murder?
he fires the gun into the air and it just clicks and he goes, "Oh, hang on a second. Stay right where you are." And he's like, "You son of a bitch." What's up? He's like, "Stay right there. Give me a minute." He's trying to figure out the gun
Uh,
and he attacks him. And I was like, "Oh no." And then he runs out and he goes, "No, no." And he fires right through the wife.
uh,
Like it was so cruel, right? And then after he
uh,
tire irons the other guy in the head, and then he sees that there's a baby in the back of the car.
well,
And it's just
well,
like,
you
oh my
forgot the
God.
detail where he fell over and shot his car as
Yeah,
well.
he falls down. Yeah, shoots
They're
the
fighting.
gas tank, but he didn't see that. Obviously, well, he didn't know
Yeah.
that happened.
When,
And then he tire iron the other guy in the face. So he's
but
killed this couple, and then there's a baby in the
I
back
know
seat,
when
and
that
he's
baby
just like,
cries, oh, my stomach just dropped. I'm
I
like,
know it's so
I
cruel.
feel
But
gross.
again, I think it's a really good job at explaining like how quickly, like, because you should already be horrified that she died because of this whole thing. And be horrified that he ended up killing this guy. Like, it's just so bad, right? And then, like, on top of it, it's just like one more cruelty. There's a baby in the vaccine. You're just like, oh, I can't,
Yeah, it's
can't
like
do
a
this. It's so
snowball,
cruel.
the snowball effect. It just gets bigger and bigger, and you're like, oh
Which is
no.
so impressive at how quick, yeah, how quick it escalated, but it didn't
Mm.
feel like out of there. It was like they even did a good job when he ran back into the diner. There's a camera pan over to the horizon, and you're like, there's a car coming, there's a car coming. And it
Yeah,
doesn't come yet, doesn't
I thought
come. And
that too.
I was like, okay, well, the car's not there yet. But I was like, of course there's a car coming. Someone's gonna find you, dude.
Yeah,
Like you've been here too long. It's been too
I
long.
know, but he was like trying to think, okay, how can I make sure I don't get caught here? And he's like,
Well, and that's the problem is it reminds me so much of the TV show Fargo, just because like that
Yeah.
TV show shows like how how many steps there are in order to get away with something. Just like there's so many tracks you have to cover that it's like it's just too much effort. It's just like you have to make sure that like the body, who could have potentially saw you. It's like, what was your car doing there?
I know.
Explaining
And
that. It's
his
like,
knife, he literally used his like very
I
specific
know.
special knives.
And I'm like, okay, at least take it out of her.
I know.
I'm like, don't just leave the evidence. Like they could have said, like, oh, maybe got stabbed by one of the kitchen knives, and they're
But
missing.
where is the kitchen knife, Cameron? See, where is it?
Then you stab her with the kitchen knife in the exact spot, bro.
Hello, now Cameron's a serial killer. He's like pulling a knife out of someone and sticking another knife,
If
wiping
I'm
it clean.
in that deep,
Cameron,
bro,
you're
okay. If
psycho.
I'm in that deep, I'm shooting everybody in the head with like the guy's gun and then leaving, because then it looks like everyone got shot in the head, and no one's gonna think twice about a stab wound. They're gonna be like,
No, but then everybody's gonna think
Cameron,
you
when they do an autopsy, they're gonna look at everything that happened to the body. They're gonna see a
oh,
knife wound and a
and,
gunshot
and
wound
they're
and
gonna be
think,
like, somebody clearly
dude,
got away.
some
oh,
psycho came
100%.
in and stabbed him and then shot him in the head afterwards. So we should be
100%. But that's what I'm
upset.
saying. If you're in that deep, bro, why are we just leaving the evidence in there? He's like a half criminal, and then he's like trying to bail out last second. He's like,
Well, see, that was the thing because he was 100% justified in that moment. She shot at him and
oh,
then she was
100%.
ready to fire again. He leapt out in self-defense and
Yeah.
attacked her. And yeah, at that moment when he finally gets
I was
off,
glad she died. She was annoying. I was
Yeah.
like,
well, again, it's horrifying because she's literally like, okay, I'm gonna take the money. She was literally going through the same thing that Jim's
Yeah.
Cummings does 10 seconds later.
I think
But
each
again,
person goes down the
each
I
line.
love that.
person,
I love
yeah,
everyone trying to
yeah.
be convinced that like they can trust you. It's like, how can I know that you won't tell the cops about me? I won't. And it's like, I can't trust you.
Yeah, she
Like,
says the same thing to him, and then Jim Cummings has to face the same thing with the next couple. It's just, yeah, they just keep kicking it down the road. But it still felt new and exciting because, again, Jim Cummings goes from like, I can explain, and then, yeah, I'm gonna give you some money if you just don't tell him I've ever been here.
Also,
And then it's, hey,
you
I'm
never
gonna
lead
threaten you.
with
I killed everyone. Yeah,
you never
it's such
lead
an
with I can
escalation.
explain. You lead with help me.
But
Because if you
even
lead,
then, they'd be like, okay, well, let's wait for the cops to get here. Because even then, I'd be like, you're the only survivor. Like, that's really shady. And even if, like, in the end, you explain what happened to the cops, like, okay, I was sitting under here at the table, I was fired at, I leapt out to defend myself. And yeah, you might get by being like, hey, that's how it happened. But again, it's like you
yeah, no,
attacked a
but I'm
woman
saying to
with
the
a
couple,
knife.
you say, please help me. Like there's a person who just murdered all those people in there.
Karen, I love this idea. So far, you
Dude,
suggested locking yourself in your trunk. You
dude, it's
suggested
all
giving
about
all the money
manipulation.
back to the
It's all
cops.
about
You're bad.
manipulation and how people perceive you, bro. If people are perceiving you as a
Cameron's like, if
criminal,
I'm the sole survivor of a Mexican standoff, he's gonna run outside and be like, please help me. And he's covered in blood, and they're gonna shoot Cameron up. He's like, "Ah,
well, no, he knew that they weren't
save me.
cops.
I'm
If
the
they're
only
just a
survivor.
regular
Cameron
citizen, that's
gets,
just if it's
Cameron
a
gets lit up.
no, dude, he should have just yeah. Bro, if you're that deep in, if it's that much money, bro, you just murder everyone in sight.
So Cameron doesn't say, hey, I can explain. He walks out just shooting them.
Yeah, I
Nice.
just shoot them. I just shoot them both.
Just shoot two more people. Oh my
And if
gosh.
I've already murdered them both, bro, and I see the child, I'm like, the child won't even remember me. So I'll see ya.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully the car's not too hot.
Oh geez.
I
Dude, no,
love
see, but I would have taken the black dude's shotgun. Holy cow, he came in guns ablazing and just destroyed the blonde guy.
redhead. Oh yeah, yeah. Was he blonde? I thought he was
And
redhead.
well, and Jim
Dude,
Cummings had red hair, didn't he? It was different.
he
I
had
could
like auburn. It looked like it was like
Yeah.
paint. He was like matching his suit. I was like, dude, did you dye your hair? I'm like, is this help with your sales? Like, what is? There's a lot going on right now.
So
I
many
know.
questions.
I'm like,
I
no wonder your wife left you.
I do you did you love to? I think you mentioned this type, but when he was outside the door calculating and thinking about everything, just him like muttering to himself. Like I love when he does crazy stuff like that. Just like thinking about like
No, my
what he
favorite
wants
is
to do.
How
his
am I getting away with
apology
this?
to the cop later. It reminded me so much of Wolf of Snow Hollow and Thunder Road, where he's like, I should have took the money. I know that now. Like he always does that in Wolf of Snow Hollow. He's like, I know, I'm sorry for saying that. I should have done it. And he's like back and forth. He's just like he's such a seesaw with his emotions. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking on the other side of the oil tanker, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, this
Dude, also,
director knew how to use them.
I was pretty impressed with him lighting like the trail of oil. I was like, dang, okay.
That is intense. And then he's trying to run away. He's getting shot at. I think yeah, I think they did a really good job with the detective as well. I think they showed like they're this couple. I can't remember. They didn't mention they weren't pregnant or anything, but for some reason I thought that. But like they the secretary at the office, hey, here, take the phone. Oh, if it's important, she'll call back. Like, there's a lot of little things that happen, but it still worked within the context of the story. Nothing felt seriously outlandish. You mentioned like Jim Cummings' bad decision and trying to get away with this. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like it was so gut wrenching where he's like there and then another couple shows up because it's like they call the cops. Like I don't get out of this. Like and even if like I'm hiding in back, like you suggested, Cameron, it's like there's going to be questions. Like, okay, what point did you run into the back? Why didn't you think to call the police? Like it's just all
But
very
that's like, dude,
sketch.
you just dive right into the coward character, bro. You just go, I was so scared, I was afraid for my
Well,
life. I threw up because I was so nervous.
like, where's the throw up? Like, oh, I washed down the sink, and they're like, okay, and then they do a forensic test. None of your DNA is down that sink. See, you tell these lies, and it's so funny, Cameron, because it's like cops.
The
What they'll do is
FBI isn't
they'll
investigating. This is
interrogate
epic
you.
Yuma County,
They'll
bro.
interrogate you for hours on end, and then when you flub
Bro,
up your
you have
story
no
enough
idea how
times
good
and
of
you
a
don't keep the
liar I
details
am.
right, I forgot we are dealing with a sociopath
Dude,
here on
I'm
the
like I'm
podcast.
like Jake from Nightcrawler, bro. I'm Lou Bloom. I just
Well, that would be a very unprofessional thing to do. It would be murder. This is
It would be more.
I
extremely
won't crack
unprofessional.
under pressure.
I won't crack under pressure. I would never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself. So, guys, would you recommend Last Stop in Yuma County?
For sure.
Oh,
Is it R?
totally. Yeah.
It's a hard R, Cameron.
It's very no. It's a very tame, I would say R. Especially it's
Just don't look up how many F-bombs are in the
Yeah,
movie.
Cameron, there's a lot of language.
bro, I'm way too
Cameron's
desensitized.
desensitized.
I'm
It works, it works for the movie.
Cameron
Didn't feel
feels nothing.
excessive, but yeah,
I also thought the wife was extremely attractive.
Flo. We'll just call her Flo.
No,
The
Charlotte, Jocelyn Donahue. Why'd you call her Flo?
So, well, that's an old TV show. Dumb and Dumber, they do that. They're talking to the waitress and they say "hello" and they start laughing hysterically. And she doesn't think it's funny at all. So good.
it sure is fun to mess with these backcountry folk, isn't it, Lloyd? The fact that they think they're like so much more intelligent than they are, which made it really funny.
Uh,
Um, anyway, so yeah, highly recommend this movie. Give it a watch.
yeah, a great
Crime
payoff.
thriller.
Because
Yeah,
sometimes with these build-up movies, like the payoff isn't great, but this is so good. Such a great ending.
yeah. Even though we spoiled it here, it's quite a spectacle, and I will be watching this again. I'm going to force my
Yeah.
wife to watch it with me.
And this movie makes me want to quote Brickleberry. I know you guys don't care for it, but the Pope when he goes, "It's always been about the money." Huh, money, money, huh, money, money. All right.
All
Sorry.
right. So, movies that we've looked forward to and movies that I already mentioned some of them. Robert Eggers directing Nosferatu. Let's go. Did you watch the teaser for it? It doesn't spoil
They
anything.
have a
You just
teaser
get
already?
watch the teaser. It
I'm watching
literally
it.
gave
Oh,
me
totally.
goosebumps. It definitely
I
has like I'll call it the hell choir. It's just like a bunch of shrieking women in the background. It just sounds like rising flames or like I don't know. It's just very
Dude, he has
unnerving.
three
And you
masterpieces
see
under his
like
belt.
Nosferatu standing in a doorway, and it is so terrifying. It's like one of the
Yes.
most terrifying images I've ever seen. I'm not kidding.
Okay,
Look it
so
up, Cameron.
I was
The
curious if
teaser.
he was going to
Just
do
start the teaser.
his movie The Night
30
first,
seconds.
but it sounds like he's doing Nosferatu first, and then maybe he'll go back and do The Night.
I don't know when it's being released because there's just a teaser trailer
No,
for
but
it.
I'm saying if he's already dropped a teaser, then obviously he's doing that film first. It's just on IMDb, it says he's doing another movie called The Night. And I just think he should just
Oh,
keep doing all these period piece movies. That would be
Night as
so
in
good.
like
A
Sword and
sword.
Shield.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it meant like the night,
Oh,
time
no,
of day.
no.
Because I was like, I suppose that could be the Nosferatu. But for me, I'm like, I want to see it do the Invisible Man treatment. Like I want a small indie horror movie that's reinventing horror movies that people grew up on. Because like Invisible Man was so well done. I'd like to see like a treatment like Nosferatu or Dracula. But They always have a Dracula movie coming out every few years, but I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't get my interest. It goes like it's just like too over the top. I just like a small contained
Midnight
story.
Mass did a pretty great job with vampires.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. There's iterations of vampires like all the time, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Very few of them are like memorable or even like
Or as good as
tolerable.
Twilight. Yeah.
Yeah, true. They don't even come near the fake thank you
I
camera.
enjoyed Interview with the Vampire. Did you watch that one?
Is that the one with Keanu
Brad
Reeves
Pitt.
and Tom Cruise? Oh wait,
I thought Brad Pitt was in it.
I think they all are in it.
And
Everyone's
Christian
in that.
Slater. Yeah, a lot of people are in
And
that
then
one.
and then the Bram Stoker's with
I haven't seen that one.
Gary Oldman. That was good. Gary Oldman's
Okay.
freaking great, dude. He
Of
plays
course he's
Dracula.
good. He's always good.
I'm like, that's freaking Gary Oldman. I'm like, holy crap. But no, it's and then I liked Freaky Night. What is it? Fright Night? Fright Night? I thought
I'm sorry,
both
but
versions were good.
I'm playing Pokemon right now, and I just imagine him evolving like Gary Oldman evolved into Nosferatu. Because he
Oh well, so real quick.
literally
So
changes.
it's got Bill Skarsgård, it's got Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays like Bullet Train opposite of Brad Pitt. That guy. He's the
Oh, and
Quicksilver.
the new Nosferatu.
Yeah, yeah, and the
He's
news roster.
oh,
And of
okay.
course, Willem Dafoe is in it as well. So I'm
Of
like,
course.
let's freaking go. Yeah.
It
I think Robert Eggers and Willem Dafoe are kind of like that
yes,
team of like
two peas in
Tarantino
a
and
pod.
yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's like, dude, we get each other.
Connect.
I need you
Yeah.
in all my movies. I think he's contractually obligated to be in all of his movies from here on out. And I love it because like Willem Dafoe belongs in Robert Eggers films.
Yes.
Like tailor made, he belongs in that universe. It's crazy. So very, very excited about that. Kind of like Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. They just belong together.
Yeah.
Even though that team up is hardly as impressive as Robert Eggers and Willem Dafoe, they naturally like they're cohesive.
It's
It's
basically
Tenet.
yeah, or Michael Caine and Nolan. They just connect.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I just need you in my film. You're like the British guy I need in my film to sell this idea of Tenet or or whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, Nosferatu, I'm really excited to see that because Robert Eggers is, for me, he hasn't dipped. I liked Northman. I get why it probably wasn't as liked as some of the other films that year,
Was
but
it?
I liked it.
Oh, I don't think it
With
was
the volcano
I
battle.
don't think it
Bombed.
well, yeah, no, but that's because he had a bigger budget. And so it was like he had with his other films, he didn't have as big a budget, so it was easy to get past make that money back. Does that make sense?
True. But again, part of me, it's like, what do you say? Like, yeah, it's not like he needs a bigger budget. It's almost like, dude, just give him limited resources and he'll find a way. Like,
Yeah.
which,
Well, but
very small
it's
budget
just I think he
kill.
would be able to use less big actors because in The Northman he has like a ton of like well-known actors.
Yeah, because obviously he's now an
But
acclaimed director. He's a proven director where it's like people want to collab with you. Like
yeah, and
actors will take
that's what
pay
I'm
cuts
thinking
to be
too.
in your
They're
film.
yes.
Yeah.
I think they will take pay cuts because they're like, please put me in
For
your
a chance to,
movie.
yeah, for a chance to work like, yeah, with someone like that.
It's
Absolutely.
it's basically like having a name when you're the Coen brothers or Quentin's, like any actor is willing to even make the smallest little cameo.
Well, and they did the same thing for Oppenheimer, I believe. Like
Yeah.
everyone was like, I'll just be happy to work because he had like, my goodness,
Unfortunately,
RDJ,
the
Robert
same
Downey Jr.,
goes for
Kenneth
Wes
Branagh,
Anderson.
Cillian Murphy. Yeah, same, yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
after a while, it feels tired because you're like, I know they all want to be an actor in his films, but like to me, sometimes it almost feels like Marvel cameo. I don't know. It
Yeah.
just
I
feels that
think
way where you're like, great, you got this actor in it, but it just doesn't have like unless they like serve some purpose. Like a great example, I always bring this up at like Zombieland, where Bill Murray is playing himself. It's freaking hilarious, but like he is living as an actor pretending to be a zombie in this post-apocalyptic world. So funny.
yeah,
So
works.
funny. It works. And then with Wes Anderson movies, it's like the actor sitting there in a chair doing nothing.
And all you can think about is that
And you're
actor.
like, yeah, and you're like, it's the actor. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, cool, you know him. That's awesome. You know famous people. Good for you. Like, I don't know. It to me, I want to see Wes Anderson direct the next Nosferatu movie or werewolf movie,
No,
you know?
stay
D- j-
away.
no, but like,
But
I
that's
don't know, go
I know
outside his
what
comfort zone. Yeah, like,
I do agree. I
yeah,
want him to do that, but
yeah.
I also don't want him to taint like
I don't want it to look like, Budapest Hotel. I'm just saying I wanted him to get out of his You've already proven yourself. You can make that movie and you've made it so every single time. Got it. You can do it. You're so particular about your sets. You're so particular about your dialogue. You're so particular about framing and camera work. It's like, why don't you do something else? Like, you've
But
done the same movie over and over.
you got me so excited.
Tired
Like I want to do nothing now but watch this teaser so bad.
of it. Okay, I'll send it to you
Yes,
because
please.
it looks horrifying.
I'm
But
so excited.
that's the good thing because, like, to me, it's like Nosferatu's supposed to be scary,
Because
and
The
this,
Northman was my favorite movie that year that it came out. I was just like, this is the best theater experience of all time. Even though that year I think wasn't a great year for movies.
yeah, it's 45 seconds long. Doesn't tell you anything. You just see 3, 4 different shots of the movie and then all the actors in it. And I'm like,
That's
I'm
perfect.
still more excited about that than, yeah, like I said, that Daddy Long Legs, not Daddy Long Legs, but Long Legs, Nosferatu, and I might get excited to go see that war movie of the apes or something. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know what it's called, but I
Kingdom
liked
of the
the.
Planet of the Apes.
Is it directed by Matt Reeves? Is
no,
he? Because he
I don't
just
think
did
so.
Civil War. I imagine he was too
Actually,
busy.
I don't know. I'm not following Matt Reeves, so I don't know.
You're not following Matt Reeves. Yeah, you're better than Matt Reeves. You're too good for him.
No, it's directed by Wes Ball, who he did the Maze Runner trilogy.
Mm,
Oh, okay.
that's
I
right.
feel like that's kind of feels like a similar avenue where it's like, yeah, it's fast running apes, monkeys. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. Oh, look, it already has a review, 7.3 out of
Mm,
10 on
doesn't
IMDb.
doesn't sound great.
I mean, again, I think
You just hate that trilogy to start with, Jordan. So
I
Well,
don't.
know
I
you,
like the first two. I like the first. Well,
Have
no,
you even
first
seen
one.
no,
I
the
like
you
the
third
only
first
like the
one?
one.
first one.
Have you
After we
even
watched the
seen the
second
third
one, I
one?
loved it, and Jordan's like, "Oh, this first one was better because it had James Franco in it." I think he just had a man crush
Yeah,
just for Franco.
yeah, Jordan is.
Yeah, Jordan is just
Let's go back a little bit. Did you just say you're Eminem? What do you mean by that?
whoa.
Hey, Winnie, take off the patch.
It's it's just like stringy hair. He's
What are
like,
you talking
"Ooh."
about, bald? I see something up there.
What about
Did
you
you
guys? What do
finish?
you guys look
Okay, yeah.
forward to?
Yeah, I finally gotten back in the groove. I had taken like a couple month break of like not watching a million movies. So now I've kind of gotten back into the groove since school's ended.
I'm
Um
back.
yeah, and I watched Fall Guy last week.
How was it?
It was pretty enjoyable. It also has the guy you were talking about for Nosferatu. What's his name? It has Aaron Taylor Johnson,
Oh yeah.
and he's the villain in it.
Okay.
He's just like the annoying uppity actor, and it was like enjoyable. You could definitely tell that the director used to be a stuntman because it has some insane stunts. Um, and it's cool too
But
because
did we mention this on the podcast or not? Where the crossover, the actor in Lost City versus the Fall Guy, or is that a different movie? Did we talk about this on the podcast? Because I'm having a like deja vu. Sorry, real quick. In Lost City, Brad Pitt. Oh, and Bullet Train. Remember how Channing
or you
Tatum has a
always
cameo
get
in
Lost
Bullet
City of
Train?
Z and Bullet Train mix.
Well, it's not Lost City of Z. It's just like the Lost City, I believe. It was with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock,
That's the
and they
Lost.
go and find, and then Brad Pitt is a cameo in that movie,
Yeah.
and then Bullet Train. Channing Tatum, well, it's Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock, and Channing Tatum has the cameo. Like
Brad
both
or
of those
Sandra Bullock.
movies,
She's not
Sandra
in
Bullock is not
Bullet
in Bullet
Train.
Train.
she literally is, shows up at the very end. She's the voice
Oh,
talking to
Okay.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
She's not in it a lot. I mean, she's the voice, and then she shows up at the end. But
oh,
anyway, so it stars, Sandra
Really
Bullock and
funny.
and
Brad
it
Pitt,
switched.
and then Channing Tatum cameo, and then Lost City, it's literally Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum with the Brad Pitt cameo. And I'm like, that's very weird. I don't know, like if like now they're like kind of like doing and again, that might have been coincidental. I don't think it was because you're like these three actors, you just switched. I just think that's really clever. But anyway,
Yeah.
part of me is like kind of like the Barbieheimer or Oppenheimer or whatever they called it, that monstrosity
Barbenheimer.
where people were talking about, and like it's funny to go see both movies. I didn't. I only saw Oppenheimer because I'm like, I don't have any desire to see Barbie movie. Finally did see it, and I was like, yeah, this movie's not for me. Big surprise. The Barbie movie wasn't for me. That's a hot take on the pod, but anyway, keep going, Karen.
But yeah, I thought it was really fun. It's cool to see kind of at the end of the movie they did a bunch of behind the scenes and just kind of showed all the stuntmen that were doing like the stunts, like the
Poor
crazy
Ryan
stunts.
Gosling.
Yeah, and they showed Ryan Gosling. Um, they
It's
they
like
showed
this
Ryan
movie where
Gosling doing like a decent
yeah.
amount of the stunts as well, and I was like, oh wow, that's
Mm.
pretty impressive. Um,
Hey, don't let him get hurt though. He's a national treasure. Ryan Gosling
and
is like
then
the most charismatic
Yeah,
actor we have right
for
now.
me it was a 6 out of 10. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And then rewatched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with the cousins, and it was really funny because they were all like um high, and a couple of them were watching for the first time high, and I'm like, bro, this movie's already hard to follow sober. I'm like, I can't imagine watching this movie high, and then like seeing people's faces like distorted and like
Watching what's his face, Elijah Wood being turned around and it's
I'm
just more
tripping.
hair.
but
Just can't turn to that.
yeah, bro. But I mean, I forgot kind of how depressing that movie is, but also how
Stole her
amazing
panties.
the soundtrack is.
Sorry, that's all I
Um,
remember.
for me, it's a solid 8 out of 10.
You what?
And then I also watched Anyone But You again with the cousins, and it is just as good the second time. It's so fun. Um,
Anyone But You. I don't think I've seen that one.
Ugh,
that's the one we were talking about with Sydney
no,
Sweeney and her
don't do
amazing
it.
acting skills.
Mm.
And believe it or not, as good of a actress as she is, she's an even worse singer. She sings one time in the movie, and I'm like, bro, you should have just dubbed. You should have dubbed. I was like, anyone but this voice is hurting my soul.
You
But
almost
it's
said the title right there. Anyone but.
oh yeah, that's funny. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. It was a solid 9 out of 10. And then I've been watching uh a little bit of Game of Thrones with Colton, and I also finally watched Roadhouse.
Boy, that movie
Yep.
was something, dude. I got
Uh,
whiplash. I literally got whiplash watching that movie.
yeah.
It
The
was
way I
weird.
described it is I said this movie is like if the writers to Madam Web made a movie and it was directed by Michael Bay and they redid Roadhouse. And I said it was something. And um I thought
Yeah,
Conor McGregor
that
was great. Conor McGregor literally just
no, he was.
he literally
Knox gets the job done. The guy was a fetching leprechaun, Cameron. That guy was a
he,
freaking
that's
troll.
literally how he talks. If you've seen him in real life, that's literally how he talks. Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm aware. I watched
his
some of the
script,
interviews. I didn't
script was
believe it.
literally just to be
He was
himself.
yelling and talking over his co-stars. He wouldn't let anyone else talk. He was like, dude, it was his time to flex. He wanted to freaking show the world who he was. And I'm like,
It was
yeah, settle down. You're not the next Viggo Mortensen. I don't know what you think you are. Like,
and I said I would have paid a lot of money
insane.
to see this movie be about UFC, because I was like every single one of the UFC scenes were interesting and like a really interesting kind of subplot. But I'm like
They did
they
nothing
just
with
took
it.
everything. They just like took everything that was good about the OG and then just like trimmed it in half. Like, let's trim the fat of this movie. Let's add some more explosions. And I'm like, wait,
And
It's
what?
CGI
literally
Yeah, it's
trash.
CGI like getting hit by a car. I mean, like,
Yeah, that looks
let's
so
add Post Malone
bad.
fighting and his body moving like this. And I'm
Post
like,
Malone, baby. I know
what
that's
is
funny. Yeah, he was
happening?
in that.
Yeah, the it took me two sittings to get through, and the first sitting the first sitting I was like in a really good mood, and I was just laughing so hard at all the CGI. I was like, bro, this might be an 8 out of 10 just because of how much it's making me laugh. And the dialogue too, I was like, bro, who wrote this? Chat GPT? And and then when I sat back down the second time to finish it, it was like later at night, and I was just like not having it, and I was just like, this movie is
This
buns.
movie
So I was just
sucks.
on my phone like half the time. But um yeah, I said half a star for Jake Gyllenhaal's
Let's not
uh,
forget there's a scene where I only remember him from Game Night. He's the guy. It's like, dude, Underground Fight Club. It's totally a thing. That guy, he'll always
Well,
be
he's
that
in
guy
Maniac too. A
until
show you
he's
really
in
like.
Aladdin. I don't know. He's in all these
Oh,
things, but again, he's still that guy until he gets a better role where I'll finally learn his
oh,
name.
yeah.
He's that guy. He's that guy for now. Like I said, he hasn't earned my respect. I haven't given him a rank because he's not that
He was
actor yet.
great in
Ingrid
Ingrid
goes,
goes west. I can't
hey,
speak.
Ingrid
Goes away.
My English is good.
English.
No, but yeah,
Brand.
I also thought it was some of the worst cinematography I've seen since like Taken 3 of like cutscenes for
Yeah.
fights. I
Yeah.
was about to
So
throw up. It was like,
disorienting.
I know.
oh,
Oh my gosh, I
and
hated
I love
then it's
that
like,
how
oh, now
actually.
how
it's his
many musical
perspective.
numbers we had. How many musical numbers we had with these bands. And I was like, why do they play here? They have a chain link fence and they get yelled at. I'm like, just play some music over the loudspeaker, which they have. I don't know why like would come there and perform
Ty,
there. It's like
you
it's a risk
need
to
to
their
see
health.
the original Ty. It is so
The
fetching
original Ty.
good.
If you watch that, you just have to watch the original to see how much better it is.
It's
Because I even
Oh,
said it in
sure.
my review. I said it's 4 times
Yes.
better. It's I said it has a better love story, better fight sequences, better dialogue, better villains, and pretty much everything else.
Like the knocks on the
What?
job was insane. But then, okay, there's a scene where Underground Fight Club guy, he's getting a shave, and then the boat is like bouncing, and I was like, he's gonna get cut. Like
I know.
that's they're setting it up, right? I'm like, he's
Yeah.
gonna get cut, and I thought he was like gonna cut himself, and it was gonna be great because he keeps yelling at the guy, his barber, to like give a more careful shave, but it's choppy on the water, and they're on the boat doing this, and I thought that's funny. It's a funny setup, right? Because
Yeah.
he's like on edge, and the
I
guy's
was
trying to cut
I
his
know,
neck,
I
and
was
he's like, he's
waiting for
gonna
the
cut him.
joke. Yeah.
No, and then I was waiting for him to turn around and deck him, and he'd fall off the ship. Like that would have been great. Instead, he gets cut. He gets up. He doesn't punch his barber, but he goes and finds the captain of the ship steering the ship and punches that guy in the face. Which you could argue is a subversion of your expectations because you're like, oh, he's not mad at his barber for trying to. But I'm like, it's so disjointed because it's like, did the guy driving the boat even? But then you're like, well, that was the point. It's like, it just doesn't work though. Like,
Dude,
it's
no,
not
you
funny. And
you
it's,
have
I was like, why the heck is he punching this guy?
you have no
It would have
idea.
been funnier if he punched both of them or only the guy that was shaving him because that was the joke. It's
Ty,
like
Yeah.
you
the
have no
guy's
idea.
doing his
If
best. It's
you
not like he wants to cut him and he's like, can we do this on land? Like, he's like, I got to shave him while he's yelling at the other guys for his insubordinates. It's a great scene. And then he cuts him. I swear he's going to stand up and punch him in the face and he'd fall in the water. That would have been a great setup because it's like, yeah, he's
if
upset
you've
about
seen
this
the
guy who
original,
had an impossible job. That would have been great.
if
So,
you've seen the original too, it'll make it you like hate the remake even more
oh,
because
sure.
like every single scene, like I love like they try to force this relationship so hard between Jake and this girl. I'm like,
Nothing
there's like
there.
EMT, yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
no chemistry, and then it's like,
Block
None.
of wood.
yeah, I would die for this girl. I'm like, do you even know this girl? I'm
I
like,
don't
I
even
guess
know
it's
her name.
assumed like and presumed that after they kiss they and I'm like, but like you for a you're gonna like risk your life. I was like,
That's
what?
right.
Versus
It's
like in
true
the
love, Cameron.
it
True
was
love.
funny. It was like in the because I felt
He
like
just leaves at the end. He just like
in
gets on a
this movie
bus
I
and he's
felt
like, bye.
yeah, in
Like,
this movie I felt like they were like, oh yeah, remember how like the connection was in like in the Roadhouse in the first one? Just imagine that that's there for these two because I'm like, we're putting no setup for this relationship
I
and we're
was
just
gonna watch
expecting
the
for it to
first
work.
Roadhouse, but when I heard how bad the reviews were, I was like, well, at least I'll watch the Gyllenhaal first because it's bad, and then I'll
Dude,
go
no,
watch the original and be
you
like,
have to
it'll be
watch
better.
the
Yeah.
OG is really fun.
Yeah.
It's such a good time, Ty.
Honestly, it's literally like rated R Karate Kid. That's what I would compare it to. It's like the OG Karate Kid where
No,
it's just
I think more of like,
it's
oh, what's
OG Karate Kid because it's just these rich people, and then he's like, "I'm gonna fight my way out of this." Oh, I punched this rich person. Now all my problems are solved. That's literally what it is.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
maybe a better comparison is
Is the original Karate Kid.
Great.
all right, well, that's fine. Yeah, it's
Great.
Um,
No,
but
I'll definitely give it a watch sometime.
it's high. It is so good. Everything. I mean, it's the right amount of schlock. It's like so. It's not so bad. It's good. It's just the amazing
great.
one-liners, the action, just
I'll watch
and
Roadhouse and then I'll watch Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone right afterwards.
and then
It's a movie literally about Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling. Guys, look up this movie. It's real. You
and
ever
then
seen it?
and then
no.
I also watched
It's
War,
Sylvester Stallone and it's about arm wrestling.
and then I also watched
It's
War for the Planet of
insane.
the Apes because one of my buddies has been wanting to go see Kingdom for the Planet of the Apes, and I've seen the first two, and I thought they're both enjoyable. Like nothing amazing, but I thought War for the Planet of the Apes was solid. I think it was probably the worst of the three because for me,
Yeah.
like the first one is probably, I would say 7 or 8, and then the second one I thought was like a solid 7, and this one was probably like 6, maybe 7.
Yeah,
Two
it's
was a
like
solid 9, though. You're wrong. You just two is solid 9,
no.
9.5. Two is so good. I
And
don't know
then
why you guys have
so
any.
I'm
Honestly,
excited.
you got Gary Oldman who's acting in like two and a
Yes,
half
he was
minutes,
the
and he
best part.
blows it away.
Yeah, but
Well,
exactly only 2.5 minutes. He was the best part, and it was so short.
he's in a
And
lot of it.
I just felt like the third one there
But
was just
those 2.5
there was
minutes where he's holding on an iPad, he's like acting opposite an iPad, and you're like, give this guy Academy Award. That's insane. That guy just,
I
dude,
also just felt
holy
like
smokes.
in War for the Planet of the Apes, like there was just a little too many plots going on because it was like, oh, the apes are gonna like escape.
Dig a tunnel, dig a bigger tunnel.
And it was like, and then they're gonna fight the people, and then it's like, oh, and then the people are actually gonna fight
And don't forget, they're
more
getting
people.
infected with
Yeah, and
dumb
then there's this
disease.
virus, and then this virus makes them like turn into. And I was like, "What the fudge is going on?" And he's
But
like,
see, that's just
like,
normally,
"Don't
that's
you
just how Woody
understand?"
Harrelson talks, though, Cameron. Don't
Yeah,
insult
like,
him, dude.
don't you understand? It's making them into apes, and I'm like, so this virus makes humans into apes and apes into humans. I'm like,
If we could all just get along.
I'm like, it's a bit of a stretch to say that these apes are becoming cognizant and like superhuman. And I'm like, and then to say it's reverting humans back to monkey, I was like, yeah, you're starting to lose me. And
Evolution
so,
and de-evolution.
yeah, I was like, this is a little crazy. And then
Yeah,
the fact,
I
like,
didn't get the,
and then
I didn't
him,
get
and then
that.
Woody Harrelson at the end be like, I was like, what the fudge? I
They were
was
just
like,
trying to
Dude,
connect
and
the old one and the new one.
I know, I don't know why. Because like honestly, like when I saw War One, perfect title, because the ending of the second one sets it up, and you're like, it's gonna be the payoff. They didn't stick the landing. It turned into like concentration camp with the gorillas, and I'm
yeah, it
like,
was,
and then Woody Harrelson has nothing to act with, and I was just like, boo.
yeah,
The
well, then
movie
it was
just fell
weird because then
apart, dude.
it was like they escaped, and you're like, oh yeah, hooray, and they're getting in a war, and then it's like, oh well, they wiped him out, and then it's like now the second army is gonna wipe him out, and then it's like, oh, Avalanche comes in and kills the
Ex
army,
Machina,
and all
yeah.
the monkeys survive because they can climb trees. I'm like, bro, what?
Deus Ex Machina, yeah.
Yeah,
Avalanche.
it's
It
a
was
giant
nuts.
avalanche.
And goodness help you if you add a Deus Ex Machina in your story. That's quoting adaptation. I just recently saw that again.
But yeah, and then just looking forward to I mean I'll probably go see Kingdom for the Planet of the Apes just out of like curiosity. And then I've I want to watch Ricky Stenicki because Jordan recommended it to me, and then also Mulholland Drive just because this past weekend I was on Mulholland Drive in
And
California. So I was like, I gotta watch that movie. I've been on that road.
and Cameron, I just bought the Stanford Experiment.
Oh, ooh.
I just
Stanford, is that the one where they lock the
kids in
prisoners
together.
and
Yeah,
well wait, oh, I've already seen that movie, right? It's got
yeah.
the guy from Big Fish.
Big Fish, huh? And I
I
don't
He's the
hate Big
son
Fish.
from Big Fish. He's not Albert Finney.
I hate Big Fish
may
so
I don't think
Big Fish
so.
is a good movie, Cameron. Don't
I
talk
I
about
like
hate
it.
it.
Big Fish is fun.
You guys only like it
Um,
because it has Ewan McGregor, bro.
he's the bomb.
Is that the
Uh,
only reason I like Albert Finney? He plays Scrooge, you know? You know Scrooge. You know
wait, I
Albert
just
Finney.
I hate fantasy. The fantasy genre is, in my opinion, arguably one of the worst genres.
hey,
Whoa,
but you
whoa,
like Lord of
don't
the
talk about my
Rings.
Chronicles of Narnia and Harry Potter that way, Cameron. Those are
See, I
fighting
love both of
words.
those, but
I
those
don't know why I
always
have a
doesn't
New
like the
Jersey
best of the
accent, but
best. It's just it's just I feel
hey,
like
buddy, lighten up on my fantasy, okay? You
fantasies
like
I feel like are
come
just too easy to just like there's just too many like plot holes and it's just like convenient like
says the guy that loves
plot
Death
armor.
Note and One Punch Man. I mean, like fantasy, those are those are fantasy movies.
Speaking of
Superhero.
superheroes, this
Dancing in your
transitioning.
underwear while
So
flying is a fantasy
I
for some sick perverts, but not for me. But
the tights.
Nice.
Pervert.
Yo, Pev.
Okay, I started X-Men 97 tie on Disney Plus. Disney, I'm having faith that they aren't completely soulless. It's actually really, really good.
Wait, but isn't it like X-Men 97, the cartoons that came out in the
No,
97?
so they
No?
not remade them, but they basically
Remastered them?
no, it's just like
It's new content.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
And they used all the same actors and their voices, and like surprisingly, they're good writing and great characters. And I'm like, I haven't had this much fun since X-Men Days of Future Past. So I
Well,
was like,
but apparently there's a ton of drama because the dude who wrote it and did season 1 and 2 got like kicked off or whatever, and so that's why everyone was like super
They
bummed.
pulled The Walking Dead.
Because
Cut
apparently
Frank
it was like
Darabont.
super it was super
Cut him out.
successful, and then apparently there was like creative differences between the guy who was like
Disney was like, how can we
I'm
save
sure
some money on this
yeah,
property?
well, I'm sure Disney's like, oh, successful and and people actually like this. How could we ruin this?
bro.
How
So
can we milk it
and
for
how can
everything
we
that's worth?
yeah, how can we jam more of our crappy messaging into
Can you
things?
make it twice as long and half the budget? That's what they ask.
Oh,
Just
like
more
Walking Dead.
show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what they
Um,
did. AMC said, how
but
can we make
Ty,
money on
check
this?
check it out. Episode 4 wasn't great, but so far I'm on episode 5, and 1 and through 3 are really good.
I'll give it a shot. I never grew up watching the X-Men. Our mom didn't
I
like
didn't either.
Wolverine, thought he was too evil. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna
He's
go
my
see
favorite
Deadpool 3.
character.
I know, I'm like, I'm gonna go see Deadpool 3. I hope my mom doesn't know that I'm gonna go see that movie and be like, yeah,
Yeah, he
movie's
is
awesome.
easily my favorite, dude. Check it out, Ty. You should try it. First episode's
Yeah.
not like it. Episode 2 though is the bomb. Like you're gonna love it. I
Yeah,
think.
DC till I die.
I will say, yeah, as far as like X-Men go, like I feel bad, but yeah, like Jordan said, I remember liking X-Men Wolverine and then Days
First
of
Class was
Yeah,
decent.
yeah.
and then I didn't even see Apocalypse because by the time I
Apocalypse
heard
is
it wasn't that
down
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard
so bad.
horrendous things about
It was
Apocalypse.
garbage.
I liked
Days of
the
Future Past
old,
was enjoyable.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, Days of Future Past was good. But so yeah,
but
you were on a
Then
roll. You had the
Logan,
first two
obviously,
movies.
but
and
Logan's
Which
barely in that
and
universe.
Logan, yeah, Logan, that was
well, and the
amazing that they
style
did.
of this animation is similar to the old school, but they like really enhance it, and it looks so cool because it's
Yeah.
like old mixed with new.
Kind of looks
Oh,
like
Yeah.
Invincible, right?
yeah, a little bit.
Ish.
It's
Yeah, a
because
little
that's
different.
more like
It's a little more comic-y than from what I've seen. It's a little more
it.
comic-y than
Well, it
Invincible.
looks
That's
more
cool.
like the older show than
Yeah.
Invincible looks more like Justice League, those cartoons.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So
Well, maybe I'll give that one a shot.
yeah, try it. First 2 episodes.
The one movie I wanted to mention was I wanted to watch It Comes at Night starring Nick Cage. It's called Arcadian. I don't know. Just looked
Yeah, you
interesting.
mentioned that.
I mentioned that, but that's something I'm gonna look for. And then there was one other movie that came out in theaters. I mentioned to you, Jordan. Do you remember what it was? I think it's playing now, or
Oh, Monkey
was
Man, Monkey Boy,
Monkey Man.
Monkey
Yeah, the
something.
Monkey Man.
Monkey
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, looks good. I do want to see it. It's like
Are you
John.
guys gonna see Furiosa?
Oh, and then that's the other one.
Yes.
I'll go see Furiosa. Yeah,
Ah, if it's good, we'll
it's
review
got my
it.
girl Anya Taylor
Yeah, you
Joy.
guys
I'm
are
gonna ride
obsessed
or
with
die.
Mad
So
Max, so it makes sense that
Well, I love
uh,
the old ones. Ty just loves the new.
I only like
Fury Road.
I can't believe you like the old ones, Jordan.
They're better than the new one.
no, Cameron. I tried to watch the old ones. Cringe
Jordan
as
has a leather
hell.
that he's
No,
because
no.
every single time I watch those, I'm
Yeah,
like, why
Jordan.
is
Is that the kind of thing you
I'm
go
like,
for?
"Oh,
All that
yeah,
leather?
why is there like 4 dudes in masks riding a motorcycle? Like, what the is going on?
Exactly. Jordan's like, oh yeah.
It's like all the worst scenes of what do you call it? Of Pulp Fiction just brought to life.
It's a bunch of Zeds, running around that run the world.
Zed's
The world's
dead,
gone to the
baby.
mad. I know. The
Zed's
world's
dead.
gone to the mad. Cameron, I'm with you. Yeah. Mad Max Fury Road or whatever was just such a kick movie where I'm like, dude, George
See,
Miller.
I enjoyed that. You
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Movie
you
was
like
fun.
worship that, and Grant does too. Grant's like, it's
Dude,
the
I
best.
watched it in theaters. I'm telling you, the theater I watched it in, it was the perfect movie viewing experience I've ever had. It was a packed theater. Everyone was just dying. Like it only
Yeah.
got quiet like twice when Mad Max wakes up
Unfortunately,
in
I
the
think
sand and
nothing's ever gonna be. I saw Deathly Hollows Part 2 opening night, and I just don't think anything will ever beat that. I just remember
movie theater
everyone like
experience.
standing up and cheering when she's like, "Not my daughter, you," and everyone was like,
Ding
"Oh
dong,
my!"
the witch is dead, dude. That's really
Everyone
funny.
was dressed up in their Harry Potter stuff. I was like, "This is."
I would say Top Gun was pretty close to that. Watching that in
Yeah.
IMAX and then watching
Across the
everyone dressed
Spider-Verse
as
2 for
Flight
me was
6.
up there just because I'd been listening to the soundtrack. It came. The
Oh, dude,
soundtrack
I
came out a
wish,
day
dude. I brought
before.
my year and a half old, and she would not sit still. Was walking the whole time. I had to
Oh.
like leave 4, 5, 6, 7 times, dude.
That's rough.
Ruined my
That's
experience.
so
I
sad.
felt like Spider-Man caring for that one spider child.
Yeah, you felt
I'm
like
like,
Peter B. Parker.
yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh. Leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Future Hidden Movie Gem signing out. Peace.
Peace.
Why'd you bring a knife salesman to a gunfight? I mean,
Jordan.
that's not a line in the movie, but it should be.